Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Shannon here. I had the opportunity recently to sit down and visit with Rachel Morgan, and you may or may not know her, but I hope you'll listen to this podcast because she is extraordinary. There's not a lot of young people that have really developed early in their lives like she has this gifting of a genuine interest in other people, but Rachel is one of those people, and we hope you enjoy. Well, I'm just tickled that you'd join us. So, and I know you've got a lot of things on your plate and you're doing a lot of things, but to sit down and kind of talk about the genesis of you and where you came from and what led you to doing what you're doing now, especially as it relates to the consulting for businesses, primarily retailers. But my understanding is you're talking a little bit more with real estate professionals and whatnot. And but anyway, thanks for coming in, spending a
Yeah,
little time with us.
thank
So,
you. Of course.
Rachel,
Yeah.
kind of go back if you don't mind, and give our listeners kind of the genesis of you. Where did you come from? Where did you grow up? What are some of the things that you did, work-related things that you did, that led you to um, retail sales, especially because that's what I see has really launched a career providing tremendous value to people who are customer facing.
Yeah, thank you. I think you said that so perfectly. Customer facing, right? Well, I am from Edmonds
Yeah.
and I still live in Edmonds, so I didn't go very far.
What
There's
a community
something,
that is.
it is a great, well, every community is great,
Yeah.
even Snohomish, right?
Yeah.
And so I, just like anyone else, like had like a retail job and ended up
Mhm.
working for them for a long time and learned a lot through that. And so my main job in retail was I worked in fine jewelry. I worked for Pandora Bridge and I fell into it. I was going to school at UW at the time
Yeah.
and majoring in communications
Sure.
with a bit of a focus in journalism and had to write a newspaper article about whatever I wanted. And so I chose to write it about new store openings at Alderman Mall.
Wow.
And one of them was Pandora. And later found out it was franchised and owned by Bridge Jeweler. And so I wrote this article, it got published, and I brought it back to the businesses and I said, hey, you're in the newspaper. I thought you'd want to see. And they ended up hiring me and didn't expect that, didn't think much of it, and ended up working for them for almost a decade and went into management during my time and learned a lot about people and customer service and relationships. And Bridge's huge philosophy is not just to sell people once, but to sell them for life. And so
Sure.
we learned a lot about that through culture and sales. And so I really resonated with it. And I am a huge achiever. I like to keep going, keep learning, and so I just got to a point where I felt like I needed more.
Yeah.
And fabulous company to work for. I still 100% respect them,
Are they
recommend
local?
them.
Is
They
Venbridge local?
are. They've been around for over 100 years. They're family
Wow.
operated, 5 generations, and they always just take such good care of everybody, community, their employees, their customers. So I'm still a huge Bridge fan, of course, but
Now, you mentioned Pandora
yeah,
and Benbridge.
yeah.
Is Pandora a brand under Benbridge, or are they a reseller for Pandora, which is a larger brand?
So Pandora is a separate company out of Denmark,
Okay.
and they are over 100 countries. And so Bridge decided to franchise and work with them. So
Wow.
technically, I worked on the Pandora side, but we were owned by Bridge. So I got to see both businesses in a lot of ways.
Sure.
And Pandora is a much newer company, so it was, of course, seeing the difference of a new company versus an older one, right? Or one that's been a little bit more established, right? And so, so I just learned a lot through that process about people, about having my own teams, about what it really takes to reach sales goals, customer service, right? And I just knew in my heart I needed to be a sales trainer. I would go to these trainings and I'm like, how do I get to be that person? Like, what a fun job to travel and train people psychology hacks around sales and how to just improve their relationships. And so I took the leap, left, and thought I would go into social media actually at first, and realized very quickly that's not my forte. And it was a good mentor that said, I really should be helping businesses identify gaps in their business that they're overlooking, which are often sales gaps, right, in customer service. And so I kind of went down that path. And another mentor told me to think about networking to meet people where they're at. And so, being from Edmonds, their Chamber of Commerce is very strong down there. And so that was where I started. I started with that. I started seeing what was happening locally
Sure.
and just got super involved from there, and everything changed for the best. And so now I sales train, of course, and I
Yeah.
work with businesses by doing things like secret shopping and helping them with strategy and training their employees and doing a lot of speaking
Yeah.
workshops.
That's awesome. So when you were relatively new in sales for Banbridge, Pandora, w- not everybody who does that, number one, is successful, right?
Sure.
Number two goes into training or
Hmm.
management,
Hmm.
right? So talk a little bit about that. Share with us how that kind of came about.
Yeah. I
What
think
experiences did you have? What did you notice about yourself that you could see a leap to that next step?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think just because you're good at sales doesn't always make you good at leadership,
Yeah,
and vice versa, right? Because it can be very hard to train it forward.
you
And
bet.
so I felt very supported by the company. I think that they gave us a lot of resources to be successful. And I just always enjoyed learning. That's actually one of my strength finder qualities is learning. And so
Sure,
an achievement. And so I think for me, it's always like, what new thing can I be learning and how can I help others? And I think when you now have to train that forward to others, being a manager, it's kind of cool to see the aha moments through your team and see them do well. And just, I got to a point where I just want it on a bigger scale. Like I was just so tired of going shopping
sure,
myself,
sure,
right?
sure.
And seeing bad service and just knowing like, oh my gosh, if they had just done this one thing, like it would have changed the customer experience. But sales has such a bad rap too that it's a bad thing to do, and so it's often not taught the right way. Like we focus so much on pitching, or we focus so much on like having to convert every person that comes in your store, every
Sure.
person you talk to, but that's unrealistic. Like even like our conversion rate was never 100%. That would have been amazing, but it wasn't. And so, I saw what can happen when you tweak your understanding of sales and learned a
Right.
lot through the years through trial and error and making a lot of mistakes, right? And so it was just a good experience. And when you're dealing with a high end product, right, it can be very emotional as well. And so it's
Yeah,
like, how do you take care of people through that? And
yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I'm quite answering that, but
No, you are. You're nailing it. The when someone walks into a jewelry store, right? Just the fact that they walked in, that's telling you something
mhm.
because there's a lot of things that they could be doing. So what are they telling you simply by walking into the store? What are they saying without saying it?
I mean, they're interested in what you have to do,
Sure,
right? Like, I think people don't just magically show up in front of you either. They took the time to get dressed and get in their car and fight traffic
sure,
and
sure.
find parking spot and then actively walked around, or maybe they looked you up to see where you were and
Yeah,
then they finally came in your store. And so, something I see a lot in sales is we ask, is there anything I can help you with? Right? And you're laughing because you're like, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Well, no, I mean, just the idea that they walked into the store,
Hmm.
right? That tells you something.
Right.
And then we ask that question,
Right. And
right?
then we hear, what do we usually hear when
I'm
we ask
just
that?
looking.
I'm just looking. And then what does
Sure.
the associate do?
Okay, let me know if I can help you.
Right. And then what happens?
And then they leave.
Yes, the customer leaves, right? Or the
They might
associate,
casually glance around, but they're
right.
making their way to the door
Correct.
when they were very overt in coming in the first place.
Right.
So there's a disconnect there.
Right.
Yeah.
I love this because I ask people this all the time. In fact, even just yesterday, I did a workshop, right? And everyone says the same thing because we all know exactly what happens,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And it's amazing because I didn't tell you what to say right now.
No,
You just
no.
knew, right? And so, right. So when a customer comes in and we treat them that way, it's like almost a disservice to them, but also to our business because it's almost like we forget like what it took to get them there.
It's not almost a disservice.
Yes.
It is a disservice
Right.
because again, they walked in the door.
Right.
Right? They could have walked in across the street. They could have gone next door. There's a coffee shop within arm's length. Why
Right.
didn't they go in there?
Well,
But they,
maybe they did
uh,
before or after, but right. But they also
absolutely.
chose to come into your
But they
place,
also
right?
came to.
Right.
Okay,
And
right.
so, and it is okay for people to come in and just be looking
Sure,
too.
sure.
But and maybe they just needed inspiration and ideas. And maybe that is why the reason that they came there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think we disservice when we leave it at that and didn't go further. And so that's a huge thing in sales and obviously can apply online as well.
Yeah.
When we're connecting with people through that, or even networking when we first connect with people at an event.
So I walk into your store.
Yeah.
I was overt about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Happens to be a jewelry store in your case. but it really could be any establishment, right? Um, how is what you teach, how is what you do that you now teach different
Well,
from what, how is, but better yet, how is
yeah.
my experience as a potential customer? Again, I walked in the door as a potential customer going to be different, my engagement with you as compared to
Right.
someone else.
So my philosophy around sales is called consultative selling. So
Yep.
it's consulting people through the sales process, and it's very relational. We think of Nordstrom a lot with that type of
Sure,
selling.
very much.
And so, really the key to sales is connection. And so people like to know that they're going to be taken care of and that you have their best interest in mind, right? What often happens when things feel salesy or pushy is that things feel very transactional or cold,
Yep.
or it's the person saying, here's how you can help me. And it's just a sale for me, but it's not a win for you.
Sure.
And so I think when you kind of see sales that way, it changes how you greet and you acknowledge and you approach people and engage in conversation. And that greeting is so important when people walk in. It sets the tone for the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And so with me, like, I don't think greeting should be a pitch. I think it's just simply acknowledgement and saying hello and welcome people to your space. And, your business is probably, it really is your second home, right?
Yes.
So how
Oh,
are you
yeah.
welcoming people to your home?
Sure.
And so I think that we often see consumers as like a number, like for us to make the transaction, but we forget that they're people and they can be our friends and our family
You
and
bet. Yeah.
community, right? And so again, it should be very exciting to see your friends come into your home and welcome them, and why not make their day and make your day more fun by conversation.
You bet.
So hopefully that answers it. But I really try to come through the lens of like, how can you connect more with people
Sure.
to make them feel safe in your space?
Yeah. We've known each other for a little bit, right?
Mhm.
A couple of years probably. And what I've noticed whenever I've had the chance to, interact with you, there's this genuine interest in what I'm doing, right? And so I can't help but think that that plays a part in this. Now, I'm not saying that every person who walks through that door at
Sure.
a place where you're
Sure.
working, are you able to give, that personal one-on-one attention? But I've never had an occasion where I didn't experience that
Oh,
with
thank
you.
you.
So is that something that you're able to teach, that you're able to train someone on, or at least help them become conscious of the fact that this isn't a transaction? This
Right.
is an opportunity for a relationship. You may know this person 20 years from now,
Yeah.
right?
People come back.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they refer their friends and they remember you. And gosh, I still talk to people. I haven't worked in this industry for 5 years, and I still meet people for lunch all the time
It's a
and
perfect
get invited to
example.
weddings and birthdays and all the things. Like, I had a customer reach out to me this week actually that I haven't
Yeah.
spoken to. So yeah, so I think that's kind of like the next step of the sales process for me is you greet, you acknowledge, you respect their time, you start in
Mhm.
conversation, but then you have to engage them.
Yeah.
And so we're always taught, and I believe this too, is like, be curious about people and learn something about them. Like, aim to learn 3 things, like,
Sure.
and just make it about them, right? And everyone will tell you what you need to know when you start in conversations,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And people love to talk about themselves too, so you get them talking. It feels good for everybody. But when I work with customers and I do a lot of, or clients I should say, and I help them and I do secret shopping, that's usually a huge thing, is there's not enough connection or enough
Oh, yeah.
engagement. And it's a very like, let's get you what you asked for and take care of you. Do you have everything you need? But there's no like beyond that, right? It's like, why did you come in today? Like,
Sure.
why did you choose us? And like, what do you think of this? And like creating an experience out of it.
Yeah.
It's very like, let's just get you what you need. So that's usually like a huge thing I notice, is a lack of engagement, actually.
Yeah, yeah. So you 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 transitioned from professional in sales to sales training.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Was there a moment? Was there a series of events that occurred that you discovered, oh, I can train on this?
Well,
Talk
I
about
think
that.
any expert, right? You're like,
Sure,
oh,
sure,
like you
sure,
don't realize like how much you know sometimes, and then
sure.
you start talking and you like blow people's minds, and you're like, what? Like, really?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think the more I talked about it, I realized like it was so important to share this with others and
yeah.
help them do better. And it evolves a lot as an entrepreneur. It never ends up how
Without a
you think
doubt.
it's going to start, right?
Yeah,
And I think a lot of people say coaching and you think you have to have this program and go through like this 12-week program and do all these things, but that's not how I like to do it, right? Like I just want to help people with the knowledge and do better. And so it's just evolved and changed from what I thought it would be. And I don't know if there's really like a moment. It's just, and honestly, through networking, a lot of it, I think the more you talk to people, the more you hear their needs, the more you practice your elevator pitch, and you see how things land, and you learn and you hear things, and you start thinking about ideas you never imagined, and it just becomes this really beautiful thing almost.
Yeah, love that. So, high-end jewelry training, that makes perfect sense to me. But that's not all you do, right? You have other professions that you serve now. Talk a little bit about that. How is that translated?
Right? So, I think that often I say retail, and people hear retail and they think, oh, I'm not at retail, I'm not at the mall. But to me, like sales is just so foundational, right? Like it still is the same process of how you take people through. It's human psychology, it's sales psychology. And so when you understand people, you can apply it in a lot of different industries. So, whether that's coffee or wine or clothing or med spas or, anything that's customer facing, right? It's still an experience of interacting with them, getting them into your business. Most businesses have add-ons even when they're services, right?
Sure.
And then follow-up and retention. Like we all want people to come back eventually. And so it doesn't just have to be jewelry, it can be so many other things.
I wonder if if that's because you have an appreciation for, I walk in, I'm looking for something for my wife, we have an anniversary coming up. I may be a little ahead of the calendar a little bit. I'm not in a big hurry.
Most people aren't.
Yeah, oh, I know. I have been there too.
We all have.
But it's not just a transaction, right? The experience that I have accomplishing something that I'm trying to get done, for example, a gift for my wife, an appropriate gift for my wife, that plays a part of it also, right? What am I going to experience as I do this? Or am I just in a hurry? Oh, that looks good, right? I'll take one of those and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
There's a lot being done and talked about today as it relates to the experience that a business owner is trying to deliver to their customer, their patient, their client, their, however they refer to those who buy from them. And I think that lends itself really well to what you're doing and why there's such a broad interest in what you're doing, because you're really speaking to creating an experience that is second to none.
Right.
Yeah, talk about that.
Sales is absolutely about customer experience, because I believe if the experience of doing business with you is not good, like it doesn't matter, like your sales, your marketing, everything don't matter, right? So think about it, like if you had a bad experience somewhere, are you going to follow this account on social media? Are you going to pay attention to their advertising? Are you like, you might give them another chance, right? But you're probably also going to tell your friends and your family about this experience. And so I think that people go back to places that they felt good about, that they enjoyed, right? They're more likely to take in the marketing around it. Marketing can be really good to get people in the door, right? And I 100% think you need marketing. But you also need the sales too. You need to be able to convert the people. And so then thinking about the experience and how that makes, like I said, people feel safe. Do they feel safe to spend money? And do they want to spend more with you? And are they happy with what they purchased? And are they telling their friends and family about it? Because it's not always like just making the sale, it's what comes after the sale. It's, things like buyer's remorse and word of mouth and repeat purchase and the retention aspect of it for those future sales. And, if someone has a bad experience with you and they tell others, then those other people have now made an assumption about your business without ever having stepped foot in and may never purchase. And so you're like losing out on these future sales that you don't even know exist.
Yeah.
And so that's why I do think customer experience is really important. And that's where customer service comes in through your sales process.
Yeah. You mentioned sales and marketing.
Yeah.
And not only are they not spelled the same, they're not the same.
That's good.
Right? So
That's good.
I like to ask people about this because the response is so varied. But in your perspective, sales and marketing are different in how so?
I think that marketing attracts and
Yep.
sales converts. So marketing's job is to get people in front of you, but you still have to talk to them at some point in some way and make them happy, right?
Sure.
And so the sales skills is understanding like the psychology behind that and what gets people to say yes, right? So even if you're an online service provider, your marketing gets them to that sales call, right? And then on that sales call is where you hope to close them, right? If you're a retail store, you hope that your marketing brings people in your foot traffic, right? But once they're in your space, you still have to close it. And with that said, just because people are in front of you does not guarantee that they're ever going to buy from you. Because people can come in ready to buy and everything goes wrong and they leave, right? And you're smiling because you totally agree.
It's never happened to me.
It's happened to all of us, right? Like how many times have we walked in and we don't get greeted, we don't get acknowledged, you can't find an employee, they don't have what you want in stock, or they were rude, or maybe there's so much that can go into it, right? That makes you turn around and leave. Or, I've seen people literally whip out their phone and buy something on Amazon while they're in a store because the store wasn't able to accommodate them. And so the same can be said on a sales call, right? Just if you're talking to someone. So marketing is so important. I think you need it. I think you need that presence. I think, like your social media is almost like a new Google. People come to see if you're real and operating, but you also have to know how to talk to people.
Yeah. So a couple of threads there that I'd pull on. One is customer comes in, marketing did their job, salesperson takes over, and the customer leaves. Had a good experience, good enough experience to leave. Where does customer support fall? Is that a marketing function? Is that a sales function? Is it a bit of both?
These are such good questions. I would say that if you interact with a customer in any way, you are selling. It does not matter if you are the support person over email or you're picking up the phone. I think you are setting an expectation for the company and what it's like to do business. So I think that we often overlook that sometimes with sales teams. We think just the person who's actively selling is a salesperson. But I argue that every single person on the team, no matter what their role is, sells, especially if they talk to a customer.
Yeah. It seems like if that follow-up to a sale were done well, I mean, just hit it out of the park, whether it's timing or whether it's wanting to make sure that it's working out well, hit the mark, whatever it is, that would impact the number of returns that you had. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You think the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's keeping in contact with people, right? When you are learning so much about them by selling, like you take a genuine interest in people. Why would you not want to know afterwards how things are going or what's going on in their life? Or like people are people, and you never know how it's going to come back around in the future. So, listening to you talk, I was just thinking this might be a little 180, but I remember kind of towards the end of my time when I was managing, it was the last day of the month. We had to do $7,000, which doesn't seem like a lot, but we would average on this day maybe 4. So we're not like 7,000 was a stretch for this day. And so we huddled. We're like, what can we control, right? And that's what sales I think is about. It's like controlling the controllables. And so we got together and we're like, let's pick up the phone and contact our customers and just check in and be like, how have you been? Like, how is that still fitting? Like, what questions do you have? You know what? We sold like 8,000 that day. We made it because we all got together. We all focused on selling. And when you think about that, like I could have put a social media post up, but that wouldn't necessarily bring people in. It was like literally selling and getting on the phone and building the connections and the follow up. And I think there was a positive energy we created too, so that when people came in, we were more ready and excited to help them too. And so really sales is about mindset too, which we didn't quite talk about, but that's half the battle sometimes.
You bet. But I think that also speaks to the fact that your customers, in this case, were willing to respond to that last day and that phone call speaks to the experience they had originally. Right? Do a good job there. Do a good job every single time. Then when you have a situation that presents itself like last day of the month, right? You at least have an opportunity.
Yeah, I've had clients even now, they're like, Rachel, how am I going to make my month? Like, how am I going to fill my workshop? And I'm like, well, who did you reach out to? Like, invite them, right? Absolutely. And I think that we get a little scared sometimes
Yeah.
to like reach out to people because we're afraid we're going to be annoying or pushy.
Sure.
But you'll be amazed that when you reach out, how many people are like, wow, I've been thinking about you.
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much for telling me. And, you know, we see a lot of media and content. I don't know about
Sure.
you, but I know I do. Like, I'm always on it and I'm always seeing things and I miss things. You just can't process
Sure.
it.
Sure.
But when someone sends me a direct email or a
Yep.
direct text and they tell me, this is happening and I would love for you to be there, I'm like, yeah, tell me. I do that for you too sometimes. We do
Yes,
it for
you
each
do.
other, right?
Absolutely.
And it puts it in front of me and then I notice it more. And
Yeah.
so I guess I say that to, you know, you as the listener, like, don't be afraid to reach out and follow up and just say hi to someone or invite them. And
Again, that speaks to your interest, your genuine interest in them as a human being, not just a customer. Right.
Right. Well, we all do better when we support each other. It's just about
Absolutely.
community that you
Yeah.
build.
Okay. So I'm a retailer. I've got a sales team.
Mm-hmm.
And we've noticed that people are coming into our store. So marketing's working, but they're doing a lot of price shopping and pulling out their phone. And we've even seen a couple purchases on Amazon, right? So to me, as a business owner, that says that it's a price issue. How do I address that?
So I think it's really easy with price to get very caught up on it, that we make the whole transaction about it and less about why they're actually buying,
Yep.
right? And so when you think about, well, why is someone having this objection? It's because they just want to make sure they get the best value, right? That their money spent makes sense, that they're not getting like gypped, right?
Sure.
And so
they're not overpaying unnecessarily.
Right.
Now, again, the item's right here. It's on my shelf.
Right.
Okay. But they're choosing to have it delivered.
Right. Delaying it.
Delaying that gratification. So that, again, it kind of reinforces my idea that this is price. But you're saying, you're not saying price. You're saying value.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, price matters at some point,
Of course
right?
it
Like
does. Understood.
we've all not
Yep.
bought something because it's
Sure.
way out of our budget.
Sure.
But I think you said something here that's really important is like if a customer is in front of you and you have it in front of you, like take care of them and take care of it now because you are now forcing them to have to wait longer to get an answer to their solution.
Yes.
And so if it is price, I mean, this is a great opportunity to talk about savings in your space, or maybe you have bundles, or talk about that, but don't make it about price. And that's what I hear is like we often lean with like, what's your budget, or what were you hoping to spend, or and then the whole thing that you do next focuses around this price versus just taking care of someone.
You bet.
Like if I have a problem, I want it solved now. Like I don't want to spend more time on it. I don't want to have to wait for it. What if you order the wrong thing? Like I see this a lot with like salons. Like they will say, oh, you need this, this, and this for your hair. But then as like a consumer, then you go and you try and find it again later. And you might buy the wrong thing that you don't need, right? And it's confusing, the terminology, right?
And it was on the shelf while I was at the salon.
You could have just taken care of me and I could have walked away. And you could have just said, you need this, right? And so I think that we get like, money is so vulnerable that we often sell with our own wallet and we put ourselves in a shoe that maybe the customer's not in. Like it's expensive for us, so it must be expensive for them. Or like you're too emotional about it, I guess, instead of just focused on what matters is taking care of someone.
I like that phrase, selling from your own wallet.
Isn't it a good one?
It's a really good one.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the capacity for purchase, the purchase capacity some people have is extraordinary as compared to others, right? And so you really need to understand who your customer is, what it is that they're looking for, and so much so that you're selling them the appropriate product, right? Which marketing will get them in the door, but if you're not speaking that language and giving them that experience that is complementary to what marketing did, then you're selling against yourself.
Compliments, absolutely. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, even, you know, people don't always know your industry like you do, and they don't know why things cost the way that they do. And so that's a great opportunity to educate and bring them into your brand and your story and why, right?
Sure.
So now I think about when I worked in jewelry, we sold a 14 karat gold charm. That was $800. Can you imagine buying one little charm for $800? right? You might.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But there were people that could never imagine.
Of course.
And so they wouldn't show it because I can't afford it. I'm embarrassed to show it to someone else. They're going to think that I am strange for thinking of this, right?
Sure.
But in the same, we would have people come in and be like, it's only $800. Why is it so cheap? Right? And I don't even like to say cheap or expensive, but it's perception is really important. And so I think when you think about that too much, like selling with your own wallet, you really lose sight of why the person's in front of you.
Yeah. That's awesome. So one thing that's very interesting to me is, through this entrepreneurial journey, we all get the opportunity, we're all faced with the opportunity to thrive amongst the chaos, right? And the impression I get is you do that pretty elegantly. So how do you do that? How is it that you're able to, you're working with experts in their field, whether it's jewelry or real estate or boutiques or salons. These are experts. They know what they're doing, right? So there has to be some chaotic moments when you're face to face with someone that you sense they're not really buying this. Okay. How do you navigate those kinds of waters?
Entrepreneurship is very hard. And I don't think anyone really tells you how to do it. Like, I think that as an entrepreneur, you get really excited. You're like, I have this skill set and I just want to help people and build this business. But there's so much more to think about when you build your business, right? Like permitting and taxes and licenses and like just all the operational things that go into it. And so that alone can feel chaotic.
Exist that no entrepreneur goes into business so that they can do those things.
Right. No, right. Like we all like leave like a 9 to 5 and then end up working 25/7, right? Like I added an hour because that's, I don't know. But I mean, I think we overcomplicate things. I overcomplicate things. I overthink all the time. But I think, in those tough moments, it's like going back to my why. Like, why am I doing this? And like, there's a reason I put myself out there and do all these things. And I always find like on my toughest days, for whatever reason, I always end up getting like this text of like how I like helped someone so much, or a testimonial or something. And it like reminds me like, no, keep going, like keep doing these things. Like you're making a difference, even if it's not apparent. But, and then there's always like the other side of entrepreneurship. Like you shouldn't have to convince people why they need you, right? You just lead through example. And so that can happen in sales, right? With the difference of marketing and sales. Like sales is not always like tangible sometimes. It takes a little time to see it. And so I don't know. There's like, I feel like I'm not quite answering this, but there is kind of a beauty in chaos, right? And I think I have found immense support through networking because you realize you're not alone. And especially when you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur, you're starting, you kind of go from maybe having a team to not having one. And so networking almost feels like you have a team of people that are cheering for you and support you and get it and have been in the trenches with you. And there's kind of a beauty in that.
I agree 100%. If we zoom out a little bit from these entrepreneurs that we work with, you work with them, I work with them. What I've noticed is that looking at it from a marketing perspective, there's some basic things that all of them need to be doing, right? They might start their business because they have a competency around X. And once that particular project or that sale is made, they now have got the bug. So I'm going to make a business out of this. What are some things, because I know you've done this yourself, what are some of the basic things as far as marketing is concerned that you would tell every entrepreneur, if you're not doing these already, you need to be, right?
I mean, obviously we can all agree that marketing is very important. I think you do need a social media presence, because if I find your business and you don't have social media, then I almost feels like maybe you don't have a business, you're not operating, and then it's hard to invest in you.
Similar to what they used to say about websites.
I still think you need a website.
Sure.
I think you need both, but I do think that you cannot ignore social media. It really is very important. But seeing it as more of like a Google page, like the fact that you exist is sometimes more important on there, right? So have your social media. I think you definitely need a website. I think you really do need to learn in sales skills, because you need to learn to sell what you're doing. I really just think it's so important to network. I'm such a huge person on that. And
I agree.
I find that a lot of businesses think it's enough just to open their shop
Mm-hmm.
and be online, but people don't know you exist. They don't know what you're about. They don't know your values. They don't resonate with you until they get to know you. And so, I get we have a million things that we're doing, but it is so important to like show your face and get out in the community, especially if you serve the community, right? And
What about the entrepreneur who is maybe a little more introverted than extroverted, and networking's not really their cup of tea?
Yeah.
Do they still need to do it?
Absolutely.
And
I love
and
this conversation.
yeah.
So I hear a lot that as an introvert, I can't sell.
Sure.
But I actually have found over the years that introverts are the best salespeople.
I agree.
And I think that we use it as a scapegoat because when you think about what it actually means to sell, you're usually not selling to a large group of people. You're talking to one person.
Yes.
And introverts typically love more one-on-one, deeper conversations. They're not about surface level. And I preach that sales conversations should not be surface level. So when you think of it that way, you're really just connecting with someone.
Sure.
You're not like in front of all these people with all eyes on you. I mean, you might be if you're presenting, but that's a very different scenario,
That's a different choice.
Right. And this isn't to say I'm very extrovert, that an extrovert can't sell. I think both people can learn. It's a skill set. And then someone told me recently, and I agree with this, is that an introvert sets the tone of a room and an extrovert picks up on the energy of the room.
Sure.
And so when you think of it that way too, it just kind of changes how you interact a little. So if you're an introvert, again, like your job is not to go into a networking event and meet everybody in there. It's just to connect with a few people. People know you're there even if you didn't talk with them in a lot of ways.
Sure. So. That's awesome. I like that very much.
Yeah.
So as you're doing your sales training, you might be presenting to a group, right? How, in that group setting, you've got several different types. You've got introverts, you've got extroverts, you've got those that, kind of are a little bit of both, right? How do you structure your training so that it's most effective, regardless of who's in the audience?
Well, you're always going to have the same few people in a room. You're going to have someone that's very skeptical, someone that's like, oh my gosh, I needed this, and is very on board and wants to learn. And you're going to have people that are quiet. And so I think actually as a trainer, you do have to learn a lot about people in training. So one thing that I've invested learning more about is adult learning theory and learning how adults learn. And so, it is adjusting your style. You may have a very general presentation, but it may be that afterwards you do some like role playing and maybe you attack it a little bit different, or maybe you do more one-on-one or group versus like you just have to kind of read the room and then learn how to get through to that person. But oftentimes those that are skeptical are afraid, right? And so it's and like they won't be heard. And so it's making sure that they feel very heard and a part of the process and then explaining. So some people get it faster than others, and it's just about patience. Right? And then adjusting. And I don't think one size fits all when it comes to training. That's where I think a lot of leaders go wrong, is they think it works for me, it's got to work for you. But I can definitely tell you that there's employees over the years and clients that I've had where you spend a little extra time with them than others, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they will be your biggest fan by investing in them, and they will sometimes be your strongest people as long as you take the time to invest. Absolutely. You have to spend the time.
Yeah. I think identifying those students, if you will, versus just attendees. You've got attendees, and then you've got people who really, really want to learn something. And if someone wants to learn something, you best get out of the way, because they're going to run you over to get the information that they really want to have. And so when you can connect with someone who wants to learn and become better at their craft, it's great to identify those people and create a relationship.
Right. And I'm a huge fan of open-ended questions.
So those absolutely. That are having... Oh, yes. I've been subject of
yes.
to some of your open-ended
You questions. Have. You've been to some of my workshops. But I think, if you're training someone and someone is fighting you on it, ask them why. Tell me why you feel that way. Like, walk me through that process. And I think sometimes just even talking about it gets them to see, like, oh, maybe you're right. Yeah. Right? And people have a hard time with change.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to show them, well, we are actually on the same page here, but let's try it this way and just see what happens.
But I think, too, that your willingness to ask that question, why, right? Why are you opposed to this? That speaks to your genuine interest in them, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I really appreciate about you most, is whoever it is you're talking to, whatever the situation, the audience, you're genuinely interested in who they are, what they're doing, and how you might be able to be of service. And I think that's just incredibly valuable. Whether you're a sales trainer, whether you're a retail salesperson, whether you're interacting in the community in some other type of a situation or a leadership position. And I just really appreciate you coming in and visiting with us a little bit. I like to end our, kind of wind down our time together with just a couple more questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So you've done a lot of things. You've had some success, really kind of a broad range, but yet a hyper focus on relationships that you have with people. Okay. What would you tell a younger version of yourself who's really hasn't chosen a position or a path, a career? What would you tell a younger Rachel?
I think that we all experience this at some point, but we often grow up with the beliefs and the journeys that our parents have had for us.
Very much, sure.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? Like we think at 18, I'm going to graduate high school, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get married and have kids and buy a house. And it's like this is what I have to do. And I don't think that sometimes we stop and slow down and think about that and what that actually looks like and what that means and what am I doing to create those things and will it bring me happiness?
Sure.
And I think it's all very important. And of course, have gone to college. I think it's very, very important your education that you provide yourself. But sometimes it's okay not to do things like everyone else wants you to. Sometimes it's okay to go against the grain if it brings you happiness. And maybe that your job and career end up looking a little bit different. And that's okay. But as long as you're happy and you work hard and you build those connections, like why not just enjoy life a little bit? Like, and it's okay not to look like everybody else. So I think if I were to talk to my 18-year-old self, I would say, like, go be you. Just go do something that lights you up. And I wouldn't say that I did anything that didn't make me happy, but as I get older, I realize like how much influence I had from the outside world and wanting to please everybody.
Oh, sure.
And now learning how to make myself happy a little bit more.
Got it. All right, so you have an opportunity. You can pick anyone you want.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you're going to visit with them for 30 minutes. Just you and them. You get to have a conversation with anyone. Anyone in history. Who would it be and why?
This is such a hard question
for
me.
And
it shouldn't be. But I think I just think of people like people. So I don't really like idolize, like, I can think of like a musician, like I love like Kelly Clarkson or everyone, Taylor Swift and her genius mind around marketing and sales.
Very good.
But I just love to meet the change makers in society. Like even if it's like the woman that runs the networking group or if it's someone like Bill Gates that starts, I think it's just so interesting to put yourself in rooms of people that have achieved something and know that you can learn. So I don't really have like a main person.
That's all right.
But I just love to know people. I don't know. I know it's not a great answer, but
no, I think it is a great answer because the experiences and what I actually think it's hand in glove with who you are, to be honest with you, because
relationships,
you see so much in the person in front of you, right? And this, again, I don't know how to say it better than you're genuinely interested in them. And this conversation is the next conversation I'm going to have with this person right in front of me is the most important conversation. So your answer actually doesn't surprise me. It's hand in glove with the person that I've come to know. So I want to tell you, I can't express how much I appreciate your willingness to come in, sit down, visit with us a little bit, and share a little bit of yourself with our followers and the people who listen to this podcast. And we think it's people like you that make living here just a wonderful place to live and work and raise a family. So
well, same to you. Gosh, talk about community advocate and player. Absolutely. Gosh, I mean, I watch you too. Like you make sure to say hi to everybody when you like, even if it's just for 2 seconds, and you check in. And I think that you care about the community you live and work and play. So, I mean, it's not just me, right? There's a lot of incredible people just like you out there too.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you again for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.